Hello again and welcome back to the Ogre Steel Workshop. I've had folks ask me how I do my maker's marks. It's nothing unique. Basically what I use is a homemade electrochemical etcher. You can find electrochemical etchers online for $200-300. I basically make mine for about the cost of a used PC power supply, a few electrical parts, connectors and such, and a little bit of effort and know-how. I'm going to show you how to make one of those yourself so that you can do etching not only for your maker's marks, but also if you want to etch steel in any way. As long as you can apply a pattern, you can do all kinds of imprinting on ferrous iron material. So stay tuned and I'll go through the parts necessary, the pieces I use, and then the method I use to actually assemble my chemical etcher. Thanks. Alright, today's disclaimer has to do with hot things and electricity. You're going to be dealing with an electrical device that you are modifying outside of its normal use parameters. Don't be an idiot, be careful. You're not dealing with a lot of power, but once again, electric shock doesn't say I'm sorry, so be aware of what you're doing. Ultimately, if you're not comfortable dealing with an electrical device that you've modified, maybe you want to invest in a proper electrochemical etcher. This is for people who aren't idiots. So be careful. Also, when you're dealing with a soldering iron, it's really hot enough to melt metal. Be careful. Don't catch your shop or your house or yourself on fire. Be aware, be cautious, and do things in a way that keeps you and your property safe. Thank you. As far as parts, to start with, I've got it's a Dell power supply from one of my laptops that recently died. This is much older one, probably 8 years old. I've found that on the power supplies, I generally look for those that are registering or putting out about 3 to 4 amps of power when you get to the terminated end. I've used them at 2 amps, 2.5 amps. They work okay. It just takes a little longer to get them to chew through the metal. But 3.5 amps is sort of the sweet spot. This one, I believe, is a 2.3, so this will be on the lower end of what I prefer, but it'll still work just fine as I by the end of the show you how to etch the steel. And so real simple, you've got, just like the other one, the regular power cable plugs in one end, and then you've got your cable here. So that's my base part. That's going to be what I'm going to end up with. In addition to that, I have a pair, red and black, of these shrouded alligator clips. I am actually going to be working on these. You have to solder the ends to the wires there, so I've got those pulled apart. Here are the shrouds that'll go on the wire before I do that. And then in addition, for my connector pieces, I just use the tongue and slot connectors. If you can see that, the slot ones go on the wire end so that I can then plug these. Will go on my secondary cables so that I can plug them in and out and move them from one connector to the next. You're also going to need a small pair of pliers for compressing the little tines that stick out for connecting your wires. The last tool you're going to need is something to cut and open up the jacketed wire with. I have this is part of my electrical kit, just a pocket knife. You can use box cutters or anything else, whatever you'd use to open a wire. You just need to be able to work carefully so that you're not cutting away accidentally the insulation around the wire where you want to keep it. So just so you're aware, this is what a corroded alligator clip looks like, and ultimately it ends up getting so corroded in there that you can't open and close the clip. That's why I'm working with the copper ones that I'll show you. Just so you're aware, once I have the terminating, we'll call the groove or the female side terminating post connected to the transformer itself, I generally will attach separate wires of different colors to identify positive black versus negative white, and I'll show you that process as well. You can get away with not adding these extenders on there and the different colored wires. Usually the wires inside the sheath of the transformer itself are already color coded. but I do this just to give myself a little more length to work with when I'm here in my shop. Step one is to disconnect your power supply from the actual electrical cable, and then you're going to want to cut this wire. I recommend, if they have one of these, I'm reasonably certain that's actually a fuse in there to keep from roasting your laptop or device, whatever it is. All you do is cut there and discard the rest. So that gives me a single cut wire that I'm now going to open. Alright, so I have actually cut open the outer insulation. I can peel away, and I'm going to expose about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. Once you get it cut, you can peel it down like that, and frequently it'll just separate. And then that leaves me with the black is going to be my positive, the white is going to be my negative, and the colored wire, frequently blue or green, is going to be your ground. We won't even be using that. We're just going to tape that aside with electrical tape. But you want to expose about that much, or certainly enough to work with. So once you have these exposed, you can actually cut away the extra sheath from the outer jacket. Just leave that off. And then, like I said, I'll tape that down, and then we're going to strip our wires. So there is the ground wire taped down. That's all I did was a little black electrical tape. Taped it back, and I will forget it from here on out. So very quickly, I'm going to strip off just the end of the wire here, about 1/2 inch is what I'm going to take. So you really just take your wire strippers, put it on there, and pull it off. Actually, I need a smaller post there. This is a pretty thin wire. So just that, and off it comes. You take that, twist it, and I'll do the same to the black one. There we have the positive and negative wires stripped, twisted, and ready for... Alright, so the female connectors are fairly easy. You'll notice they've got the little sort of tongue part, or not the tongue, but the insert part on this side. And with these, it's a compression connection, so all you do is slip your twisted wire in there. Take your fancy schmancy wire strippers, if you've got them like this, and they have the setting, the color coded, so that has yellow, red, and blue. I'm going to use the blue dot on that and simply make sure that I compress it on the wire so that it makes the connection, and then give that a fair amount of push. And then again with the female side, slide my wire in there, hold it in place, make sure that it's going to be wire to metal, and then simply compress. And then that's it. The wire won't come out. So that takes care of the main part of my electrical etcher. These are connected. Now I'm going to do the extension wires. As I said, you don't have to do that. You can actually connect your alligator clips directly to this wire. I prefer those because I can swap them out if they get damaged, they wear out, what have you. And then it's an easy, simple connection. I'm not redoing this whole thing. The alligator clips are next.